one of the most important things besides food on whether you have a fun, enjoyable backpacking trip is your sleep and what you're sleeping on and what you're sleeping in. So let's talk about a sleeping pad first. Having something to go between you and the ground is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it makes it a little bit softer. You're not laying directly on the hard ground. Number two, it's going to insulate you from the cold that comes up from the ground at night, and especially in the early spring or late fall, that is very important as the ground is probably cooler than you would like it to be. So there's a couple different types of sleeping pads. This is a very inexpensive closed foam, closed cell foam rather, and there's not a whole lot to it. It's very easy, very cheap. You can get this for less than $10, maybe even about $5 at Walmart, and it rolls up like you saw, and you can sleep on that. If you want to go a little bit fancier, you may want to get one of these REI self-inflatable, and they look like this when they're all blown up. You don't need a pump to blow it up, you can just blow into it. They roll down very small, but this is a little bit more comfortable than the closed foam cell. So those are two options for sleeping pads. Now, when we talk about sleeping bags, there's a couple of different kinds of sleeping bags, and they have some pros and cons to them. This is one of your more inexpensive sleeping bags. You might buy this from Walmart or something. It is a rectangular sleeping bag, and so again, very much like it says, it is just rectangular, and there's a big wide opening here at the top. Now, that lets a lot of cold air, a lot of warm air out rather, and a lot of cold air in when you are trying to sleep. And so these types of sleeping bags do not keep you quite as warm as the other type. Now, the other type is a mummy bag, and one of the other advantages of mummy bags is they stuff down a lot smaller, and it's easier to put them in a stuff sack than the rectangular style sleeping bags. There's even bags that go maybe half the size of this again, so you can get them really small if you're willing to pay for them. But one of the advantages of a mummy bag, and you can see, is that it conforms a little bit more to the shape of your body. Down here where the feet are, it's very narrow, and up at the top, it's just wide enough for your shoulders to go in there, and it's got a hood, so if I wanted to, I could cinch that hood up right around my head, and that would keep all of the heat in. In colder weather, a mummy bag is definitely going to be the way that you want to go. Now, there's also a couple of different types of insulation that sleeping bags can have. One is down feathers from a duck or a goose. That is very lightweight. It doesn't dry quite as easily, but it is very warm. Think about keeping birds warm in cold weather. The other one is a synthetic fiber insulation that is a lot easier to care for and wash, and if it gets wet, it's faster to dry, but because it is man-made, again, there's some warmth components that are not quite there like the duck, but it is gone they've gotten very good with that technology, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you have a price difference as well. Down is a little bit more expensive than the synthetic. So that is a little bit about sleeping conditions on the trail. Again, you're going to want to get a good night's sleep because you got to get up and hike more tomorrow.